Bashnetti, and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week I have two very special guests on the show. They are two Albanians who are doing amazing things, both in Albania and outside Albania. The first is Buja Bakiu. He works in AI. He has a very successful AI and data company in Germany and is also working in Albania. We're going to be talking about his success, but also what he thinks of Albania's new virtual AI-powered minister. I'm also speaking to Agnieszka Popaj. She is Albanian, living in the UK, and she is on MasterChef, which is one of the most longest running and most famous TV shows in the UK, which is screened on BBC. It's a cooking show, and she is bringing Albanian food to the whole of the UK. It's nice to see someone in the UK on TV talking about something positive for a change. Welcome to Inside Albania. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to meet with me. It's an honor.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Now, I want to start at the beginning for our viewers. How did you get into the field of tech and AI? Have you always been in Albania? You've done a lot of work in Germany. Start at the beginning.
Yeah, so I did my bachelor's here in Tirana, but then moved to do my master's in Germany, where I finished there. And then after working for a couple of years there, I understood that I was always interested in the big data world. It was always kind of a passion for me. And then I understood that, okay, this is something where I can give a bigger impact. So that's why, together with Sadiq, my brother, we started DataMax around 4 years ago. And then, since then, the world has kind of taken a shift. Like November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, revolutionized everything, made AI pretty much the keyword token in every boardroom, in every government meeting, or in every startup world. So, yeah, we were lucky to be there at the time.
I bet you were thinking, wow, good decision. It's kind of prophetic in a way that you chose this.
No, it was like, actually, we could see that, like we saw that AI is actually part of the world. This was changing everything since then.
Yes.
But it did not have the hype that it has now, but also the pace and the speed that it has now. But we were quite confident that, yes, it is actually the topic to be in.
I mean, ChatGPT seemed to come out of nowhere, but I always think, what we see, how it's being used now is years behind where AI actually is, So when there's a lot more going on behind the scenes in companies and with people like yourself who are developing it, it's actually more advanced than the usages we as the general public get.
It is, but I'd not say too much advanced. It is, I would say, close, but and behind the scenes, it's a lot more happening that we got to see probably in 6 months' time.
What was it like going from Albania to study in Germany? Like the language, for one. How did you manage that?
It was, it's not that hard. It's
no?
No, you get.
I suppose if you speak Albanian, other languages are a lot easier.
For sure. German is tough as well, but still. You get used to it. If you talk to people, talk in the supermarket, in the coffee shops, especially if you talk to kind of old people there, you get the hang of it rather quickly.
And does your company work in Germany as well, or is it just working from Albania?
No, we have part of our team in Germany. 90% of our projects are with German clients.
Great.
We do some work here in Albania, but less of it because the topic we work in, like building complex AI system, building complex data systems, data platforms, is not a topic that we see very often in Albania. Usually it requires a bit more volume of data and also use cases where data can actually bring strong value.
Companies that are able to invest in it, because I imagine it doesn't come cheap, and are also at that stage. I sometimes feel in Albania we're slightly behind in terms of, like we were saying just now, when I message someone through a website in Albania, I'm surprised if they have a website sometimes. Lots of people still don't, or they don't use it. We're still
there.
Yeah. What are the main differences that you found working in the German sector and then working in the Albanian sector as well?
The first value that we see is the vision like from the executive board, do they have the vision to see that AI will actually bring value to them for the scale that they have? In Albania, we don't see this that much. We see a lot more skepticism in the executive level that, okay, do we really need it? Or can we just hire someone that actually does this work for us? This comes because the scale of the companies in Germany is different. It's usually much bigger. And therefore, there is no amount or no number of people that can actually handle such volume of data, analytics, or AI systems. So that's why you need automation. You need things to be done automatically by themselves. In Albania, we don't see that because the scale of the companies are rather smaller. And then if you have a team of 2, you can hire one more, make a team of 3, then they would be able to handle it. However, recently, in the last 1 or 2 years, I've seen a change in the mindset. I get a lot more calls from Albanian companies, actually, who are interested how AI can help us in the business. Most of the time is about automating certain processes, which is hard to hire people. It's not that it's hard to hire people, but it's like kind of a very monotonous job, very boring job that is like kind of data entry style of work. And then people come there, stay for like 6 months, and then they leave because they're bored. And this is the processes that we see a lot of interest to actually automate such processes, that there are systems who the job of a team of 3 people for 10 days can actually do it in 10 minutes.
And actually, we'll come back to this automating processes thing later. So what projects have you been working on? I mean, I understand a bit about AI from my work. I work as a tech editor for a big media as well as Euronews, so I'm quite geeky about it. But I think the general public know about Siri and ChatGPT and maybe Grok if they've tried some other options, you know, and that's sort of it. So what sorts of projects are you working on? And in simple language, so...
So one project is in the energy sector, where we actually take the data from smart meters and then calculate how much energy each resident has used or how much water they have used in monthly basis. And then on top of this, we kind of do something called outlier detection, meaning that if something looks off, then we flag that, like, hey, this doesn't look correct. So let's look
I
at
had
this.
a leak at home and I was paying like 4,000 a month for my electric, and I had to go to the water company like 4 times. They had to send 2 teams of people to figure out that there was a problem. So something like this would have been solved by your solution.
Exactly. It would have been at least flagged, and then someone will have to take a look at that. But this would be the idea. We have done a lot of work in media as well, in the terms of forecasting the audience of a certain show. Like if a show is broadcasted at a certain time, what is the audience that is expected to
That's
look
really
at that?
interesting, because in Albania, we don't really measure the audience. There's no way to know who's watching. So
beside the YouTube videos.
You have no idea who's tuning in sort of at home or anything.
But one of my favorite projects is one that we did with an online retailer that, based on the history of a certain individual, then we'd forecast what is the likelihood that if they purchase something online, will they actually return it or keep it? So we'd say like, okay, we are 80% confident that they will keep it, or 90% confident that they will return the item. It was quite cool because it helps a lot in forecasting the costs.
Yes, but what data do you use for that? Like, how do you figure that out? If I'm a first-time customer, what data would you need to know to forecast that?
If it is a first-time customer, it's a bit more difficult, but there are patterns. Like there's customers like you who have the same kind of taste, the same kind of fitting, and then this helps to actually match and to do the so-called market segmentation. So you segment the market, and then you say, okay, in this case, Alice is more like towards this group of clients, and then we expect that kind of behavior. However, we are now developing also our own digital solution in terms of AI, and it is towards big solar parks. And then we have developed a solution that forecasts how much energy is going to be produced by the solar park into a 15-minute time interval. So for every 15 minutes of the day, we forecast how much energy it is expected to be produced by the park based on the data that is collected, historical information, as well as local weather conditions that we see at the moment. And this is something that it's already being used by 2 parks here in Albania near the Fier region. And this helps them to first do the trading. So when they sell energy, to know how much energy to sell, how much to promise. And then also it helps them with reporting to OST, the transmission operator here in Tirana, in Albania, because they need to have also information of how much energy is being put into the grid.
I have another question. You know Albania very well, obviously you're Albanian. If you could design an AI solution to fix a problem in Albania, like if you had to pick a priority, what would it be?
It's tough. I'd start with the traffic in Tirana.
Something with the traffic?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Something like traffic monitoring and route planning, that sort of thing. The traffic, it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. So, especially the bike lane. I'd like to have it clean all the time.
Yes, yeah. Or, less cars altogether, I think would be beneficial. So Albania has made some very big headlines recently to do with AI. The Prime Minister, it was in August, he said, maybe we could one day have an AI ministry, maybe even Prime Minister, but he hasn't given up his job yet. He's accepted his 4th mandate. But what he's done is appointed an AI minister, Diela. Now, I have my own thoughts about this. I think this concept of a minister and giving her a name is marketing in a way. It's a way to make it easily understandable and acceptable, and of course to make headlines as well. But I think the concept behind it, using AI to manage certain processes within governance, is a solid one. And I think it's not just Albania which is going to be doing this. I believe other countries, Sweden, are already starting to look at this and are already using AI in various areas of governance. But let's go back a bit. What was your first thought when you heard that we're going to have an AI minister?
I was not expecting that. So I was expecting a ministry of AI, but apparently this was not the case.
With real human ministers.
Exactly. So something that designs kind of the strategy, how to integrate AI in the politics, but I was not expecting that. However, as far as I understand, it's not really a minister, but it's more like a way of a system being built to actually help against corruption in Albania, which corruption in public procurement, which makes sense. And it is a long-lasting problem in Albania that has been there all the time. You hear it in the news daily.
Yes. At every level, though. I mean, it's not. We can't just say, "Oh, it's just the government are corrupt." There is problems in every level, in every institution.
In every institution, public or private.
Yes.
So in this case, I think it's a wise investment. It's something that's worth to do, and I think it's definitely important to take this topic seriously. But it's a controversial topic in terms.
The way I see it and how I've kind of explained it to people is now often when you apply for a job, you upload your CV and they have an AI program, which is the AI program knows, okay, we want someone who's aged between 25 and 35. They've got a degree with a minimum of a 2-1. They have at least 10 years. It has criteria. And then you upload your CV. And if you meet the predefined criteria, you might get an interview. Like the AI will select your CV. If not, thank you for your interest. Good luck next time. The way I see it is this is maybe how they plan to use it for public procurement. The system will have the very specific requirements of the tender, of all the criteria, and you submit the bid. If you meet the criteria, congratulations. If not, goodbye, try again. There's no sort of, let's meet for a coffee and talk about it. Yeah. Am I right? Is this a good way to maybe explain how something like this could work?
It is correct. What you are missing right now is that who designs this system to think in such a way. So obviously there is some team that has worked on this AI system to actually bring this in this shape and take into consideration these criteria. The challenge here is that how transparent is this? Can it be overseen? Is there someone actually monitoring the systems, that there are no hidden, that they may, hidden, let's say, I don't know, manipulations in the systems.
AI is only as good as what you put in.
Exactly. So there are two criteria how AI systems are in generally designed. First is the data that you input in there, which in terms of DLR, we don't know yet what is the data that it was fed in, but it also the reward systems, like what rewards a good behavior from the AI system and what is a bad behavior from the AI system, which is something that we also don't know. What is the reward
We
system?
have to reward it. Does that mean I should be saying thank you to ChatGPT when I'm...
It's not in that way. So usually the certain AI systems, they think in terms of reward. Like if I take this decision, will I get a penalty or a reward?
Okay.
And then this way they learn what is the way to go in the future, which way to go. And both of these things are important. For example, ChatGPT rarely says, I don't know, because it has been trained to actually not say, I don't know. It gets a penalty for that. And that's why it does not say. And that's why actually in the previous versions, there were a lot more hallucinations in the ChatGPT, that you'd see that even if it did not know or there was no information for that, it still kind of ramble on about something.
This is the problem I've seen, people's main concern. There are people who don't understand it and they think, DL is going to be like ChatGPT. There are people who say, well, it's not democratic because she's not elected. But the main complaint I see is, if the government is corrupt, then they're just going to create a system which favors their corruption.
Yeah.
This is the concern, basically.
Well, it is... you can think that way. The point is that we don't know. It's like we don't know what data it is going to be fed in actually to take the decisions in the public procurement. I believe that it's not like that. I believe that the general intention is to actually offset, to remove the responsibility of taking these decisions from the individuals, which might be might get corrupted into a system that is actually incorruptible. In theory. In theory. However, we need to be very careful that these systems are actually like that.
But what about integrating with things like blockchain? You have smart contracts,
Does not make a difference. You're just storing the data there. But if the data is like that, it's still the same. However, you can do the monitoring of the system, make it transparent why it takes certain decisions, make it transparent what data was it trained on, make it transparent on what kind of recipes was given to behave. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, there was the Swiss kind of government deployed their Swiss AI, which was a collaboration between ETH, EFPL, and the Swiss Supercomputer National Center, which was very, very interesting because they produced a large language model in the flavor of ChatGPT, which was actually not state of the art, but it was very transparent on what data it was trained, was very transparent on how it was told to behave, and it was actually multilingual, so it could speak English, French, and also Swiss dialect of German. But the main advantage here, it's actually very transparent how it was trained. Why does it give these decisions, or why does it give these answers for these given questions? And this is also something that we should aim in terms of DLA, that it needs to be very transparent how it behaves. We need to have the ability to actually challenge it, but also have the ability to understand why it took such a decision.
Because there's the problem of accountability, if Diela makes a wrong decision or a corrupt decision, you can't take her to court, can you?
Well, exactly. The point is, who is responsible for these decisions that Diela takes? There is the concept of accountability sinks. So you will see often enough in companies who have an email address that say, if you have a complaint, send an email to this address, which is actually not monitored or whatever. And this is the topic of also DLN. Like, would it be an accountability sink that people who are corrupt actually build a system that is corrupted, but they take off the responsibility from themselves into some system that does not exist, or you can not challenge that, which I hope it does not become such a thing. I hope that DLA actually brings a way to flag and to reduce such an issue of the corruption in the public procurement in Albania. And I believe with the right mindset, with the right work, it can actually bring this kind of progress in the society.
Now I'm going to get a bit dystopian for a second, but should we be worried about giving AI power over government and governance and citizens and decisions and finances? Might there come a point where we lose control of it, where we've handed over too much?
There have been cases of that before. So, for example, there was one case in 2021 in Netherlands where they had there was the Child Care Act, which so basically in Netherlands, the child care, you have to pay for it, but for certain marginalized group or minorities, it was provided by the government. There were some kind of loopholes in there which some people took advantage of, and then they built an AI system to kind of detect the fraud. But the fraud was, since the data was kind of biased, so because the people who applied for there were actually already marginalized groups, and then the system would actually flag valid cases of childcare support application as fraud. And then people actually sued it, and then it got made unlawful. There was another case in Australia a couple of years back in 2016 where they had the RoboDebt. That was a system that automatically detect based on the income discrepancies, detect if you had a debt to pay in taxes or not. But
that would be helpful here, I think.
That would be helpful. The challenge here is that they also had some flaws in the system, and then it got made unlawful, but then the government had to pay a lot of fines as well in terms of billions of dollars.
Is there a risk of losing control of the AI is what I'm saying? You know, if we're using it in government and let's say, you know, we have other ministries run by AI, other AI ministries, is there ever a risk that you can lose control of it?
I don't think so. It's important to understand that AI is not a human being that can actually think and make decisions on itself.
Yet.
So it has to be, not anytime soon. I don't see it happening. But however, it can be a huge help, and utilized wisely, it can actually bring a lot of efficiencies, as we see it in the private sector every day today. But I don't think that it should be the decision maker. It is a tool, it is a help, but there is always a human need to actually oversee that.
Like when we use ChatGPT, it shouldn't be doing your work for you, but it should be assisting you in your work.
Exactly.
Yes. Do you think, I mean, can you see any other benefits of it being used in government? So in voting, in counting votes, in this sort of thing in the future? Because this would be a good area to use it in Albania. You know, after every election, they spend months fighting over 10 votes and, oh, this one did this and this one. Can you see an AI application in the voting process and the vote counting process to make things a bit more stable?
Automation of vote counting has been done for years now. It's not something new. It can be done. It is done quite a lot in... especially in the Western world, where the volume of data is big and you cannot actually manage this manually. I think it can be done, and it's not a technical challenge, it's more of a trust challenge anyway. So I still believe people will be fighting over those 10 votes anyway, with AI, without AI.
What would they have to fight about otherwise? You know, they'd be bored of what to argue about in Parliament.
But it's, I think it's a mindset change that you have to actually think of the systems They say that, okay, we have this system, we trust these systems, and then we're going to move on.
Yes.
We're going to move on with them.
Okay, away from Diela, what's next for you, your business, Germany, Albania?
We see ourselves growing quite a bit, especially in Germany, but also in Albania. We see ourselves becoming kind of a leading partner in terms of data and AI systems, because both are very important. Without data, you cannot have AI systems. And then in the future, we want to move on with our product in the solar park world, because we see a lot of value with that.
Yes, of course. And you work mainly with Albanian people within the company, Albanian talent?
Yes.
Yes.
So most of our team is Albanian talents here in Tirana, which we actually take them from right after the school or probably when they are in university. And then we work with them quite a lot in order to train them, grow them, and then become actually quite experts of this field. But we have also our team in Germany that we work with as well.
Good for working with young Albanian talent as well.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's important as well. I think there's a lot of potential in tech here that's not being exploited at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think it's a field that is actually growing a lot, and it's opening a new window into the Albanian ecosystem, that the technology has so much more to offer, and there are so many opportunities to actually grow in there.
Buya, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.